All right, welcome everyone to another edition of Deconversion Stories, and today we have the honor of having this gentleman right down here. His name is Daniel Sokoloff, and he is one of the volunteer members for RFR. So, as you guys know, I always have the links for the RFR stuff in every episode because it's all about helping people with their deconstruction and stuff like that, or if they're just in general having problems with their religious communities. Even we don't try to make people become atheists, but I myself like to suggest it's possible that you should maybe do that if you're having problems and you're not really a believer anymore. Maybe it's time to cross to the other side of the road. But anyways, welcome to the show, Dan.
Hey, what's up? What's up? Yeah, I thought I was here to talk about my Frankentron, my Frankenstein transform. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's a great point. Volunteering with recovering from religion is crazy because sometimes I find myself, rather than telling someone, you do know there's no God, right? Being like, well, have you tried looking for a more progressive church? Because people come to me and sometimes it's not, I'm having doubts. It's, wow, my church is really killing me. And I understand you guys help people with religious problems. And it's like, well, sure. We don't deconvert people there either,
Yeah, exactly. Well, what you guys do isn't about that. It's about helping people that are having problems that just so happen to be religiously based, hence the name Recovering from Religion. So,
right.
But basically what we do here, myself and Mikey, like to talk to people about how they found their way free from their previous belief systems, be they religious or otherwise. So I always tell people we've had ex-woo-woo gurus on here from the world of, whatever the hell they call that shit now. I don't know.
Moon Crystal.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And we've even had an ex-white supremacist on the show, which was kind of a interesting one.
Wow.
Yeah. But why don't you kind of tell us where your religious background is from and how you sort of came to the terms with not really believing it anymore?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I actually come from the insular and not very heard from too often world of ultra-Orthodox Judaism. What people call
familiar with it.
I'm sure you are, but a lot of people they're like the Amish or something. They barely exist to a lot of people because they don't really interact. Yeah, go ahead. What do you want to ask?
Oh no, I'd say no. I agree. They don't.
People call them the Hasidim. That is actually just a subset. That is a category of ultra Orthodox Jews. There's lots of them. I'm what those types of people would call. I was Litvish. That's like where you wear the white shirt and the black hat, but you don't grow. You don't have
no curls.
Don't have the payas exactly. Yeah. Although my mother made me have them. It's kind of weird because I had a sister die when I was really young. I was like 4, and we were secular. My mother took it really hard, obviously. She spiraled into drugs and all kinds of stuff. And when she got better, she decided to get religious because, as many people do, we found ourselves in a church at one point. It was very scary. I didn't know what was going on. Kneeling down on the pews had these things that you put down.
Yeah, you grab hold of.
Yeah, and I saw her doing it, so I did it. But I figured she was praying to that dude on the stick. Yeah, we never did it again because I think she was horrified.
Meat on a stick.
Meat in the shape of a T, right? So we went to a Judaica store though. This was all in Philadelphia, so it was. I think the neighborhood's called Ronhurst. I don't know. There was a tiny community of Jews there, and I bought a kippah that had Superman on it. Breaking a chain, hand painted, and we started going to a synagogue. I went to a yeshiva called Politz. I believe they're still around. She met a man. Oh, a yeshiva. Thank you for asking. It's a religious Jewish school where they teach you the Hebrew, letters. They teach you to read. They teach you to pray in Hebrew. They teach you the Torah. It's like a madrasa for Muslims or Catholic school, I suppose. Only, yeshivas tend to be a bit more Well, I don't know. It's kind of funny to talk about yeshiva because, like, when I was in yeshiva, we didn't really do a lot of secular studies. Like, we would learn, the Torah every day, and we had
Mhm.
what's called a chumash, which is the Torah in book form. That's all
Yep.
chumash. It's not a scroll, it's a book. So we would do that. We would translate it into Hebrew, into English, the Hebrew into English, and the rabbis would take a break and tell us stories from the Mishnah or whatever else. And then for the last 2 hours of the day, we'd have a college student or a retired teacher come in and teach us math, science, or history. And it wasn't all those in one day. It was this day you're doing math and reading, this day you're doing history and science, and they didn't have to be certified because it was a private school. So
Oh wow,
yeah,
that probably led to some issues. I'm assuming.
it did. It did. I had some
Surprise!
I'm very bookish. I majored in English when I got to college, of course, but I have, despite being so well read, I have weird gaps in my learning because, like, I didn't have a normal curriculum growing up.
Side question: how many books are you reading right now?
Like 4 or 5.
Yeah, I was about to say you probably got multiple books cracked right now.
Yeah. I'm reading like a history of Japan right now by I can't remember what his name is. The guy who does Kitaro. I'm reading fuck.
That
what's
must
it
be
called?
really cool.
It is. It's great. It's really
Japanese
wild.
history is fascinating, man.
He goes through the whole Showa era and then shows what he was doing at the time when all this depression and like starvation was happening during the war. Like he was just like looking for bugs because he was a child. Yeah,
That's when I corrected rhinoceros beetles.
pretty much.
Cicadas.
But no. So my mother, like, she had that thing that people get when they get really into something that's new for them, where she was like, she jumped right into the deep end of Judaism, but she went harder core than like even this man that she married was. He didn't wear the black hat. He was very religious, but he didn't wear a black hat. He just didn't. His father didn't. But she was like, I think it would be sexy if you wore the black hat. And he had never been he'd never been with a woman before. He was 30.
Guess I'm getting a black hat.
Oh, my mother is what you call a nice lady. So, your wish is my command. It's one of those things too, where birth control is not really a thing in that community, although people use it. Like, Jews are very big on loopholes, like you might know this.
Yeah, I know.
and not just because we tend to be lawyers, but it's really, it's just the way the religion works. Like, you're not supposed to cook over an open flame on Shabbos. You're not allowed. That's Sabbath, That is one of the 39 things you die for if you do on Shabbos, right? However, if you take what's called a blech, it's a metal sheet, and you put it over the fire,
then you're not on an open flame.
You're not on an open flame. You can cook all fucking weekend. You just can't turn the fire off. But I mean,
or an electric stove.
Or an electric stove.
Induction.
I believe that. Yeah, I don't. They weren't as prevalent back then, but yeah.
That's funny.
There's so many wacky ones, but that brings me back to what I was saying of the birth control thing. You can go to a rabbi and be like,
I thought it was late to the party at 21.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, I was like a virgin until 23, so whatever. You beat me at least.
I feel like a whore now, Daniel. Thanks.
Well, you weren't in a yeshiva, so I don't know, man.
Fair enough.
I played the fifth.
We had Hebrew school, but
well, I wish I just went to Hebrew school. What was I saying? About so they call those loopholes a heter, right? So, like, if you go to a rabbi and you're like, I can't afford to have any more kids, rabbi will say, oh, well, I think it's okay for you to use a condom. Well, my mother wasn't having none of that. She made me have the payas, even though we weren't Hasidic. She just, when I asked her why I had to have them, because I didn't like them, I was teased by other kids who didn't have them,
Sure.
She was like, well, we have them because, there was a time when people were cutting our heads off for being Jews. And I said, okay.
Oh, all right.
Make that make sense.
My mother wasn't the kind of person you could argue with. Like, she was very big on eating me
I
up,
hear that.
punching me in the face. Like,
We will have the longest heads since they removed them in the past. We will show them how long our heads can be.
Well, I'll be like the leader from the whole comic books, the giant head. So yeah, so what really killed it though for her was like, and I'm sorry to harp about my mother, but this is like where a lot of this comes from. Like, she was very extreme about the religion, but she started like falling out of love with it. Like, you know, she ultimately had 8 kids with this guy. I have 8 siblings with Hebrew names. They're all very cute. They're all very cool.
Are they mostly biblical, I imagine? Like,
yeah.
There's Daniel.
There's Levi Yitzchak. There's Yossi Yosef Chaim. Esther and Mazal. They don't have middle names. Esther Raquel with a Q. My mother decided she was Spanish for a while. Yeah, I don't know. Helena Maya. Aaron Yisrael, and the littlest one, Shabbat Shalom. It's not a good. He kind of lost.
What?
He lost the lottery on that one. Yeah, yeah. He's adorable, by the way. But I was out of the house by that point, so
right.
I met him a lot later.
He's like, why couldn't I get Daniel?
Yeah, right. Well, I was David Shlomo. I took a Hebrew name when we. You know, when I started going to yeshiva, so you know, I took 2 kings because I'm cool like that. You know, no, fuck man, I get to pick my name. What is this? You know,
I choose Superman.
I want to be Ultraman. Gotta be Optimus Prime. You know,
my name is Optimus Prime Superman.
It's awesome. Oh my gosh. But yeah, she got tired of it because, like, you know, she stopped wearing the long skirts and stopped wearing the wig. She just got tired of it. And the other ladies didn't like her, the other housewives. She didn't like being a housewife. Started going to a bar while my stepdad was working. And the thing is that I saw her doing all this, and it was bothering me because, like, I was under the impression that Yahweh was always watching, you know?
Always.
He was going to strike you down, you know, eventually. I was told that, like, there was a plane crash, and everyone in that plane died in a different way because, like, they had earned a different death from the Torah. Stoning, burning, you know. One guy got electrocuted. One guy got, you know, hit by a thing. And I was like, oh, fuck. So here she is, like, you know, not keeping kosher, like sending me out to get her McDonald's, which was crazy. I mean, right. Imagine me walking into a McDonald's with my kippah and my payas.
Can I get a cheeseburger?
10-piece nugget, please, with sweet and sour sauce.
Yeah, like literally though, like it's not a joke. So I had doubts, right? Like the Torah is not a reasonable fucking book to study. The Bible is
the fucking least.
You know, yeah, like the whole thing with the flood. I found myself wondering how the kangaroos like got to Israel from Australia,
or the sloths,
South
Africa.
You're telling me that motherfucker packed his briefcase and walked across the, you know, like
I'll meet you both in the middle. How about the koalas, which are honestly a mix of koalas and sloths at the same time, equal parts?
Maybe they hitched a ride.
They can't even jump. They just have to literally walk.
Maybe like the Komodo dragon, like picked them up and like swam with them.
Yeah, the Komodo.
All the saltwater fish are dead. All the freshwater fish are dead.
Yeah, they told us that when the ark, the Hebrew word is teva, which means box. Interestingly, I don't know what ark is. I don't know. Maybe it's Latin. I don't know. But they told us that all the fish just swam around the ark and that kept them safe. So I don't know. This Liopleurodon wasn't lucky, you know. Poor Elasmosaurus, you know. He didn't get close enough to the boat. But I had doubts, of course. Like, so they were telling us stuff that wasn't in the book too. Like they told us there were giants in the land of Israel, and that for me was the biggest red flag. Like
they call them Nephilim.
Well, there's the Nephilim in Genesis, yes, but like they were saying that like when there's that whole story where the Meraglim, I don't remember who their leader was, but they start bitching and moaning to Moses like, we really need to investigate the land of Israel. Like we're scared. We've been wandering the desert for X amount of years, and Moses is like, all right, I'll talk to God. I'll talk to the big guy. He's like. You send those you send those spies. There's going to be hell to pay. And he's like, all right. He goes back. They keep crying, and then Yahweh's like, let him send them. You guys are going to pay a heavy price. And it's, you know, I'm sure you know the story. They go out there. They see things they don't like. They come back. They tell the story, and then they die a horrible death. Well, the rabbis told us that what they saw in the land of Israel was giants. Like the people who lived there, the Canaanites, some of them were giants. And that when they heard the spies in their garden, they were like, ooh, there's grasshoppers like in the garden, and that they brought back giant grapes and giant this and that, giant oranges. I don't know. The rabbi drew them on the board too. And like
a lamb shake the size of your thigh.
Wonders like you couldn't imagine, right? And like, the rabbi said that their punishment was their tongues got real long and bugs flew into their mouth. It's not in the Torah. But I was like, I guess it's true. We have the Torah. The fucking Rashi said it, so it has to be true, right? These commentators. And, what happened one day was I got internet access.
Oh.
I know.
Dun, dun, dun.
And like, I immediately was like, I wanted to know, because like, I was aware that our record of what happened was different because we had our history books, which were woefully behind. Like, there was a bit about the history of the Jewish people, and it was like about Abraham, a leader of the Jewish people, and I was like, okay, they don't know anything. So I wanted to know what the Goyim knew, and I couldn't find anything about the Egyptian Exodus. In fact, it never happened. There's no record of it. And that
FYI.
FYI,
for those that don't know, Goyim is a slang term for non-Jewish people.
Right. It's Hebrew for nation or nations. Goyim is nations plural. But Jews use it as slang, like, oh, it's the fucking Goyim don't know anything, man. Don't hang out with them. Yeah. Or a shiksa, that's like a non-Jewish girl. That's derogatory. Yeah, I brought a girl home who wasn't Jewish, and she was the shiksa, Like, did you bring the shiksa over, Yeah. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. Look, I mean, Christianity, all they think about is the Jesus. In Judaism, it's the Exodus from Egypt. That's everything. Like, that's Passover. That's Sukkot. That's so many holidays. Like Yom Kippur. It all revolves around leaving Egypt and wandering the desert and getting to the land of Israel, and none of it happened. There's nothing there. Jerusalem was a fucking settlement at the time when King David was supposed to be out there building it up as this huge empire. Like,
right.
Yeah, like it's totally like anachronistic and fictional. And I stopped believing just like that. I wish it was that easy for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone,
no.
But I feel you too. I feel you because I'd always asked. I was the kid that spent most of my time in the hallway at Hebrew school because I was asking questions I couldn't answer. Right, so I don't know if I really ever believed, but I tried.
Yeah, I did believe. I don't know. It just seemed reasonable to me. I felt like the Torah scroll was pretty authoritative. I mean, it was written in a weird old language, and these guys had beards that were telling me it was true. So. Yeah, I was really. They were
Weird
telling
wisdom.
Well, they were telling me weird stuff that I just didn't like. Like they were telling us that like we shouldn't watch the WWE because like if we do, we won't get to see the Leviathan battle the Behemoth at the end of the world. And I was like, oh.
Who the hell wants to watch that?
I was just wondering where the Leviathan was. I was like, say it's on the ocean floor. We've been there and seen no giant fish.
They're mapping it right now.
Maybe that's the final battle in WWE.
Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wonder what they would do. Like, do you think like Seth Rollins like would side with the Leviathan, or like all right, no one watches wrestling. All right. Anyway,
Peter shows up with signs talking about the Leviathan must live. Is a rare endangered creature.
Yeah, I really wanted to believe in the Leviathan. I like monsters. They're great, but
monsters would be cool.
Monsters would be cool. I love monsters, but boy, where was I going with this? Judaism. Yeah, it wasn't great. I mean, like, I remember I told my mother at one point.
There's the cut right there, by the way, Daniel. Judaism, yeah, it wasn't great.
It really wasn't. Really wasn't. Like, I had people throwing quarters at me when I was younger, on Shabbos.
What?
Like, yeah, that's the only bit of anti-Semitism I ever really experienced. They were throwing quarters at us, like
we throw pennies at freshmen. I mean, people throw pennies at freshmen over here.
Really?
'Tis a ritual.
Okay,
pretty sure that's for a different reason, though.
Yeah, they don't expect a Jew to stop and pick it up, like
I didn't say that.
I'll take all the quarters.
I mean, I do stop for pennies. I'm not gonna lie. You know, that's a whole penny. That's $100th of a dollar.
Well, it could be a rare one, and you might be like a billionaire by then if you pick up the right one.
I picked them up because they are a slip hazard.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Wow.
You can bust your shit on a dime or a nickel, man.
Oh,
Them things are
there's a penny.
slippery.
Whoa!
Well, way to make me look like the bad guy here, you know.
As a former bookkeeper, dude, I have eaten shit slipping on change.
I just I stopped wearing my tefillin after a while because it was stupid. Like
That?
they told it. So you know those black boxes Jews wear in their head and their arm when they pray.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah, they wrap them around.
They call them phylacteries. So it's a black box. It has like a shin on the side. It's got a scroll. I believe it's just the Shema inside the scroll. But you wear one on your head, and it's right in your forehead, and then you wrap the other one on. You put the other one on your arm. And they have leather straps, and it's like a wooden box with leather over it. They're very nice. they're not cheap. And yeah, you wrap it up your arm and around your middle finger. It's something to do with your pulse, I think. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. But I was told that if you don't wear them right, you will burn in hell, you know?
Which is weird because we don't really have a hell. There's Sheol, but...
Yeah, and with Judaism, it really depends who you ask. Different rabbis are into different books of Kabbalah. And that's...
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to talk about extra biblical fan fiction of the Bible, I mean...
It's basically Jewish mysticism.
Yeah, and all that means is stories about King Solomon flying with demons or... Abraham or Ezekiel, they pick a character and run with it and tell their little story, you know. But yeah, when it comes to the afterlife, it really depends on who you ask. But yeah, there's nothing in the Torah or the Bible or whatever. I mean, I don't think you get like hell until Mr. Jesus starts talking about sending people there, which is pretty magical. But you know,
which wasn't in there in the beginning either until the church got a hold of the scriptures and rearranged everything so that it worked in their favor. And then they added the fear-based hell thing in there so they could control the masses.
Funny how it works, isn't it?
Yeah.
What else did you want them to do?
What else?
Don't touch yourself.
What they're there for, right? So, boy, yeah, no, my mother wasn't having it. So my stepfather didn't care. He was like, "Oh, if you don't believe in it, you don't believe in it. I mean, what am I going to say to you?" And she was like, "How dare you sit here and talk philosophy to me? Like, you know what you're talking about." And he was like, "He doesn't believe." She's like, "You shut the fuck up." And he backed right the fuck down. He's like, "Yeah, you're not making any sense of it, you know." And he left the room.
Nobody wants an angry Jewish mom. Trust me.
Yeah, my mother is something else. We'll leave it there. But King Solomon can indeed fly, depending on who you ask. The magic carpet actually comes from like Kabbalistic books. Yeah. It's funny. King Solomon is a very popular character in mystical texts, not just from the Jews, but from like Muslims too. They love to ascribe their demon hunting grimoires to King Solomon, and so did like the medieval Christian sorcerers. They the lesser what is it? The lesser key of Solomon and the higher key of Solomon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just addressing.
The demon hunting techniques are in there.
Oh yeah, it's all there, man.
I heard Solomon got the super serum.
Being an occultist is not a poor
Captain
man.
Israel.
It's not a poor man's hobby. You need gold and sulfur and all these chemicals. Like, it's fucked up. It's like, who has time to do all this?
I know a guy.
Yeah, I know a guy.
Old Lenny will hook you right up.
He'll hook you right up.
What are you talking about? I got connections through work. Thank you very much. Any chemicals you need.
I got it all.
Boy. I need some piranha acid. Don't ask.
Gross.
Some what?
I forget what the real name of it is. I'll tell you in a second. Hold on.
Let's see.
Well, I know hydrochloric, sulfuric, citric, even.
I don't want to make their lips pucker.
That's not gonna get you high.
No. Carbonic, maybe?
Carbonic.
That should lead everything.
Good old.
Oh, they call it piranha solution. All right.
Piranha solution. Oh, what do you pour it in water and you get piranhas? Like, I don't understand. What do you?
It is.
That's one way to clear up a fucking clog.
Swimming pool? Yes.
Oh. It's a mixture of sulfuric acid and hydrogen peroxide.
Oh.
It's like a super oxidizer. It oxidizes everything. It turns everything into oxygen.
Huh. Well, I guess everyone needs a hobby.
That's-
Yeah.
It's highly corrosive and extremely powerful oxidized surfaces. Must be reasonably clean and completely free of organic solvents, because those bonds are gone, baby. Whatever bond you had, just forget about it. You're air now. You're
Wait,
air and water now.
Wait, you're saying I should
Wow.
drink this or what? Like,
No, don't do
Yeah.
fuck. Okay.
that. Your tongue would turn into air.
Oh, so like,
Steam, probably.
so will
Well,
I have
yeah.
superpowers if I did that, or?
You would be super dead.
Oh, that's
You'd
not
be
very
ghost.
Dead man.
You'd be
Perfect.
ghost man.
Boston brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, speaking of the Nephilim, you mentioned that. I always bring this up because people find it charming. I had been to museums before I went to yeshiva, but like different rabbis told me different things about dinosaurs. My favorite one was the one who told me they were the Nephilim. You know, Nephilim.
What?
Yeah, they were. He said they were a race of super people descended from angels. You know. And I was like, but I saw the bones. They're dinosaurs. They got like, teeth for ripping flesh and stuff. And he's like, no. They're hybrids with humans from angels. So, I guess T-Rex had wings. I don't know. I wasn't there. You went there. You went there.
I'm in Chicagoland. So in Aurora, there's like a natural history kind of museum looking thing, just because they were clearing the trenches to make a highway, and they found like an entire mammoth. I think they found like an entire skeleton, and then like a couple of like partial ones that there was like a tar pit or something. They got stuck. The dudes are in like the 1890s sitting there with the shovels, taking the big picture, and there's this enormous skeleton. I went in there and I was like, oh, this is the Cyclops skeleton that they used to talk about that they would find, because because a human body and like an elephant body, if you just lay the bones out flat, aren't too dissimilar. And then you got like this giant elephant skull, but it's got a big hole in the middle because the trunk comes out that way. And they're like, that's where the eye is. It's a Cyclops. Giants are real. I'm like, oh, baby, look, they got a Cyclops skull in here. As soon as I saw the mammoth.
Tyrannosaurus Bernstein? What?
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I was very confused by that.
That's
too.
Neil.
Bury me.
Neil is Neil Bernstein.
Cool.
So yeah.
I didn't know you were a T-Rex. Man,
Apparently.
it's funny how the world has changed. I'm looking at my notes here, and it's like there weren't a lot of atheists that like I don't know. I felt very alone. Obviously, living in the Jewish community, because my mother didn't want to hear it. She was like, "Oh, you're this big agnostic now," and I'm like, "I didn't say agnostic, But like, I remember I caught Bill Maher on TV, and it's so weird to say this nowadays. Now that he's such a weird neocon asshole, like he's such a bootlicker now. But like, he was doing a special on HBO and talking about how he was an atheist and how something about a book where people live inside whales and live for 900 years. I don't know. It doesn't really add up for me. So nothing personal.
Who said this?
This was Bill Maher.
Oh yeah, I remember all of his talks about atheism and stuff and why he's a non-believer and all that now. But now he's just turned into almost, I want to say, right-wing fucking wingnut now.
I stopped watching him when he did his thing where he met Trump, and then he sat there for like 5 minutes straight talking about how rational, sane, funny, and personable and reasonable Trump was to him. And then like it was like Robot Chicken or something. He goes, now here's what's that guy's name? Here's Steve Bannon. Like,
right.
Like, really? The anti-Semite, the Nazi? And like
the other guy who Sig Heiled during inauguration week.
Literally like the Breitbart guy. And he's literally like going like, oh yeah, Trump is gonna be there, like he's gonna run for a third term, he'll win. And Bill Maher's doing his like smug thing where he's like, actually, I've got this constitution here. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking? We're gonna reinterpret that, bitch,
Well, Steve, I'm really high right now. Okay, so I don't really know. Okay.
Well, the most chilling moment, and I feel like this was a good time to stop watching him permanently, was he started saying like, well, we can sit here and have a dialogue, me and you. We don't agree on anything, but here. And then Steve Bannon goes, we're not supposed to be friends, Bill. And Bill Maher froze. And I was like, oh, there it is. And I turned it off. And I haven't watched him since.
He's like, I'm a snake, Bill.
Yeah, yeah, like I would kill you right now if I could. Yeah. What now, bitch? Like,
these cameras are the only thing keeping you alive right now, Bill.
Yeah, like the nominal rule of law, right? Norms, right. And, what is it? Norms and traditions, right?
Practices or whatever.
Fucking exhausting. Yeah. So Bill Maher, first atheist to let me know it was okay to be me. I put down the Amazing Atheist too. He was a big deal back then. This is before all the feminism garbage that he got, admired in. But he was this loud asshole on the internet going, "There's no God. Fuck you." Like,
yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah.
Was this pre or post call-in shows? Were those out yet? The call-in shows and like the debates from like AXP and stuff like that. That was like my first like, you're just gonna say that to them?
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah,
it's so obvious shit.
Yeah, he predates all that. I didn't get to, so I eventually stopped living with my mother and just moved in with my grandmother, who was not religious. And that's the era where I started seeing the atheist experience and stuff. And that was like the next level of that, Yeah. Because I stopped watching the Amazing Atheist because he just wouldn't stop with the feminism stuff. I'm like, go back to talking about like idiots releasing eagles in churches, like that's what I want to see, So yeah, like, watching Matt Dillahunty and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure that motherfucker, if he has a nickel for everyone who says that, he'd be pretty rich, but
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
He's one of the people that is responsible for many people coming out of their beliefs. Him and Seth Anders, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
I know them both, and they're good folk, for the most part.
Both of them
they're good folk. Yeah, both of them have been here.
Yeah, I love Seth Anders. He's great. He's one of a kind, man. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely is.
He bought us drinks. He's good in my book.
Yeah. Yeah, he took a picture with me at the Baja Con just this couple weeks back, and put it on his page. He's like pointing at me, going, "Look at the horns," kind of thing, right? It's like, the horns.
That's great.
Super. Are there any parts of like the kind of like traditional Jewish, more like, what would you say? Because you wouldn't, not like the cultural Christians who like go to church on like, just like
the high holidays.
Not just like the high holiday religion, but is there anything about like that, like deeply Jewish culture that you kind of miss, or is this like I can figure all this shit out without this?
I don't miss
Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, man. No, I don't miss any of that kind of stuff, honestly. I really don't need any of it. Like, I occasionally do a Hanukkah party for my friends, and like I get really drunk and I start talking about how like, that's not how it happened and all this stuff. And, I talk about how the rabbis hated the Hashmonaeans because they destroyed, they turned Judea into a vassal state of Rome. And then I start talking about how, it's a bad idea for me to do the Hanukkah party. Let's put it that
way. Yeah. Because besides, I'm a member of the Judean People's Front. So, is it the People's Front of Judea, or is it Monty Python reference there, folks?
Yes. I have a friend who is, he's not my friend, he's my boyfriend's friend, but he's a Zionist.
Oh, fuck.
And it's never pretty. It's never pretty. He's got he's got family that lives in Israel, which I don't begrudge anyone, obviously, but it's like, once we start talking about that, like I just have antipathy for Israel. I always have, because it's an ethno state,
Right.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And I even lived there for a few years, or a couple of years anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I used to support it more because it's a functioning democracy in the Middle East, but
it was
exactly. But what made me really turn against it was like I started asking people why they don't support a single state solution. That just makes more sense, doesn't it? And they were like, "Well, there's more Palestinians than Jews, and then it wouldn't be the Jewish state." I'm like, "Why does that?"
Right.
And then it's like, "Oh fuck." That's kind of when I walked it,
You're like, oh.
Yeah. But
I know that Sorry, Daniel, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but
You're cool.
I've seen so many videos from the Orthodox religious community condemning the shit out of Netanyahu right now.
Mhm.
That's good to hear.
Oh yeah, many of them, because they don't consider themselves, well, I'm not going to say all of them. There probably are a handful at least that do consider themselves Zionists, but most of them don't, and they are condemning the shit out of what Netanyahu is doing right now in Israel, and so am I. But
Yeah.
like that guy's got to go. Like, I'm sorry, but
Yeah, like there are a lot of problems in Israel. I mean, like the settlers are probably the biggest problem, but Netanyahu is a monster. I mean, it's so funny that to think that like my people are doing this. Like,
I know
every day in
considering
yeshiva,
what they went through.
Yeah, every day in yeshiva they'd mention, amongst all the Goyim hate us, we're in exile here, don't get too comfortable. They would start talking, we'd have to hear about the Holocaust, and some of my rabbis that were teaching me were from Poland and stuff who had lost family, so it was very real for them. And it's like, it's so crazy. Like, I was raised, like, I grew up, like, my line was always like genocide, racism, no, bad. Even though like we were taught to be pretty racist in yeshiva, they did not like people who were not Jewish,
Right.
Period. Like,
Thanks, studio. Well, we don't worry. I'm always constantly laughing at flirfs anyways, because they're fucking idiots, but that's a whole other thing.
Neil, you just have no, like, you're just not able to understand science like they can.
It's
okay?
true.
I'm sure.
You got to see the
let me explain perspective to you for about 3 hours and get it wrong the entire time.
Yeah, you got to be like that really cool guy who had he's holding like a globe and like a large plane toy, and he's like, look, see?
Yeah. Where he pours a cup of water over it or something. Like
what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, y'all don't understand.
Closer, motherfucker. We'll talk.
Y'all don't understand science, is what I'm saying. That is clearly a good experiment that he's conducting. And y'all just can't, if you weren't such a sheep, you'd be able to understand his science.
It's sad, really. Yeah.
Yeah, that devil science. Nobody like.
The devil
me with science.
The devil planted those bones there, those dinosaur bones, to test you, man. Like, how can you not see that?
Oh yeah, well, I did the wrong kind of test on a seal, and I got a different result. It's like, oh, cool.
Well, the joke's on them, because the real God is Thor. You know that because in his hand he holds the hammer with which he builds the universe. Right. Yeah, fucking logic, right?
I mean, he's got the dentist hammer. He's got to be our God.
I think my favorite creator god is Umbumba. He's an African deity that threw up the universe into existence. He had a tummy ache, and he was lonely, so he puked, and all of a sudden the universe came into existence. I'm like, that is the best fucking story ever.
It just like moldered into like life and space dust. Yeah, I'm into it.
We are made of vomit, literally the vomit comet. If you
hey, I like the vomit comet.
Yeah.
I like that more than Odin killing the frost giant and letting the body fester into the earth, like, because this guy just fucking like vomits up like the cosmos. Like, that's kind of beautiful. I like that.
Yeah, I like that one.
As a former binge drinker, I've definitely birthed a few universes in my day, because I'm talking about everything came up, and there's no way universe didn't get stuck in there.
Like my bubby always says, you got to pick gods that represent you. If you can't see yourself in the god, then what are you even doing?
The god draft is so hot each year. You know what I mean? Like, who's gonna get picked up? Who's gonna get a renewed contract?
It's a really divine meta. Yeah,
there's a lot of unsigned free agents out there. So
pews are opening around the country, man.
That's so funny.
My biggest fear, honestly, was getting married off, because that was like,
oh yeah,
I understood that was the cycle. It's like, and I see it on the RFR line all the time when I get these motherfuckers, because when
I'm pretty sure that's the funniest thing I've ever seen you say, Dale. You want to hold on, guys? I got some string theory cooking up here. Oh god, oh god.
You put him in a box. Did he puke or didn't he puke? Schrodinger's vomit. There you go.
Schrodinger's toilet.
Bender, stop trying to destroy the universe. You know, they have the universe on the box. You know.
Oh, fuck me.
But no. Seriously though, like that's how they get you. Like they marry their kids young, and then they get their wives pregnant, and then they're stuck. Yeah, there's nowhere to go. Like I talk to people who are like, you know, I don't have any skills. I have 4 kids, and I don't know what to do. I don't believe in this religion, and I hate my wife. She's not very smart because she went to Beis Yaakov, which is yeshiva for girls, where they teach them a lot less because they don't have to learn the Talmud because they're girls and they're not allowed, you know?
What? I didn't know that.
I mean, they can teach them, but they just don't teach them because they don't have to. And there are rabbis that think it's not suitable for girls to learn. Also, there's some pretty awful stuff in the Talmud. Like I remember arguing with my rabbis because like you can marry your daughter off at 3 years old, or you can even sell her as a slave. And then the guy that buys her can then have sex with her and just that's his wife. Yeah, that's in the Talmud.
Okay.
It's good
That's
stuff.
fine.
I don't know that they would do it all the time, but it's allowed in rabbinic law. So, you know.
That's right. That's right.
That's the key thing. It's allowed, you know.
It's fucking horrifying is what it is.
Yeah, so they don't teach that stuff to girls. You know, not like they can do anything if they don't like it. I mean, what are they going to do? Bitch about it, right?
Vote against it? Yeah, because there's votes now.
Vote against it. No. Funny as hell.
You're not even allowed to be in the same part of the synagogue as the men are anyways.
The mechitza. Yeah,
that's right.
The divider.
Y'all put the girls in the damn Rosa Parks section? That's fucked up. That's fucked up. Yeah. Don't y'all be Rosa Parks and them girls.
Don't you worry, buddy. It's been going on long before Rosa.
Yeah. Good times. Good times. All I know is that, like, I put it in my notes here that I was like petrified of like, you'd call a shotchen. That's a matchmaker, and they knew all the eligible bachelors and girls and whatever in the community, and they would pair you up with them. You'd go on a date, and you were allowed to go on 3 dates, and then you had to decide if you wanted to marry this person or not. And
Daniel, now I'm having flashbacks to Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah, right.
Matchmaker, make me a match.
Catch me a catch. Yep. That's
great movie, but still.
Great movie. I agree, but yeah, pretty upsetting.
Yeah, very much so.
Make him rich as a king.
Yeah.
Yeah, glad that never happened. So I don't know. I moved in with my grandmother ultimately. Me and my mother were fighting. I wound up in the mental institution like twice because she put so much pressure on me. You know, I cut myself a few times, and you know, she wasn't a great person to live with. Even besides that, I mean, you know, she was real big on attacking my self-esteem, ripping up my poetry and stuff. Like,
fuck me, really?
Oh, that hurts my soul. That hurts my human parts. It burns.
She told me I was like insane and a psychopath like Edgar Allan Poe, and I was like, he was a psychopath? She's like, yeah, he was. I was like, okay, sorry.
I would have been like, oh, let me kiss the top of your head and give you a hug. You said I'm crazy like Edgar Allan Poe. Oh, thank you.
I know, right? Like, what a great.
That means I'm really gonna write something perfect. Oh, thank you.
Like my poetry wasn't anything great back then. Like I had this one poem where it's like the clouds above shed not a tear for me, right? And like, it's not great poetry, but your teenager's writing, right? And she's like, you don't even know what you're talking about, writing all this stuff about the clouds and all that stuff. And I'm just like, you know, it wasn't great. Like, so when I moved in with my grandmother, things changed. I went to a normal high school, and you know, I went to high school with girls, and I, you know, was allowed to do what I wanted to do. I have my grogger here, by the way. It was on the floor.
The what?
So this is so we have a holiday called Purim, right? Where, like, you know, I don't know.
Where you guys do shots. You have to pour them.
You know, you're not that far off. The Jewish people were all going to be killed by some guy named Haman. And the king had just so happened to have married a Jewish woman. And, like, at the last minute, like, you know, the Queen Esther is like, you know,
didn't wave your fucking noisemaker when you said the word Haman.
I know.
And now we eat his ear.
I'm trying to tell the story. So she's like, my, you know, someone's gonna kill my people, and the king's like, who's gonna do that? that guy's gonna kill my people. Points at Haman, his grand vizier. So the king's like, oh, well, I guess we won't kill the Jews then. I mean, my wife is a Jew, so on Purim we all dress up in costumes because God hid himself. I think he hides himself a lot. And we read from the story of Esther, which is called the Megillah. And every time you say Haman, you spin your grogger around and you blot out his name because he's
a douchebag.
He sucks. Yeah.
So on my politics show, if I have to censor, I'll use an air horn. So what you're holding right there is the air horn prototype. This is air horn beta test 3.7-4+3.
What? Okay.
It's it's like the boop button before there was a bleep button. So you got the little crankety thing. The grogger is your editing device.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. By the way, that's what I meant to say. So the alcohol comes in. You said it's like Purim because you're pouring drinks. Well, here's the thing. You're supposed to drink so much on Purim that you don't know the difference between good and evil. I don't know why. I forget why, honestly.
And you're also the costumes you come into play there too, because you're not supposed to be able to recognize each other. So
right.
If you do go to the evil side, then nobody can tell it was you and they can't tell on you.
This sounds like a bad holiday to have.
When I was in Jerusalem during Purim and walking around in the Shuk area, they literally grab you and pull you into parties and stuff a bottle of wine in your hands at the tender age of 15.
I need to get the fuck over there, man. That's great.
It's and you're dancing the hora and you're singing and having a great time. And the food's awesome, and they just keep getting you drunker and drunker over the entire night.
That's awesome. So I was Bin Laden the last time I did Purim. Like I wore one of my mother's turbans. I had a pirate beard because it had the mustache and the beard. And I wore like a wizard robe because I just figured that that's what he wore. I don't know. And I had a cap gun rifle. And I was just screaming, "Die, Jews!" And it was right after 9/11. I guess I was like 12, 13.
Oh,
and
boy.
Cops who were on every corner protecting our endangered community were like, wow, that must be a popular costume. They thought it was pretty funny, Yeah.
The Osama bin Laden costume at 13 is crazy work.
I lived in Brooklyn. I mean, Yeah.
Oh, that's so
every time I saw someone dressed like Uncle Sam, the cap gun rifle came up, blam, blam, Yeah. Yeah,
but kind of foods in Jerusalem. Well, I'll look it up. There's lots of. It's mostly like definitely traditional Jewish cuisine, of course, but
falafel.
Purim, right. Yeah. You got falafel. You got the Hamantashen, which is Haman's ear, literally, and
or his hat, right?
Or his hat, because it does look like a pirate hat, the triangular pirate.
Yeah,
hat
I always thought it was a hat, but yeah.
Apparently it's his ear, and it kind of grossed me out as a kid, but they tasted so good I couldn't stop eating them. So
they are really good. I like rogalach. I can't have them anymore because I have a gluten allergy. It's the worst,
Yeah,
yeah, it's pretty unfortunate.
Mikey, everything.
Yeah. Have you had gefilte fish?
Of course.
Well, you've had it, Neil, because you're fucking Jewish.
I fucking love it.
Isn't it great?
Oh,
I only know of gefilte fish from the blooper from Rush Hour.
Oh.
And then I had to look it up.
I've tried not to watch Rennie Harlan movies, so I unfortunately haven't seen Rush Hour. So maybe I should just to see that.
It is
every time it comes out for Passover. My sister doesn't serve it at her seders because one of the kids allergic to fish.
Yeah.
So I just go buy a jar of it and take it home and just eat them one after the other. Just a little.
It's really good.
Slurping them down.
Now, my dad, who did not raise me, I'm friends with him now. He walked. My mother was pretty tough back then too, and he left. He just left one day. So we're friends now. He didn't raise me or anything, but he's a cool guy. So my booby, his mother, who I wasn't allowed to see growing up, we do all the holidays over at her house because it's family. Like nobody's
That's
religious.
cool that you got to meet them though.
Yeah. Well, my father, however, will not eat gefilte fish. He's like, no, man, it's a fucking goldfish. I don't want that, you know?
Oh,
It's
y'all
not
are eating
goldfish.
goldfish.
It is carp, but it's not goldfish.
Not a
Y'all out
goldfish.
there eating blub, my favorite goldfish. I'll cut them up and put them in a jar with some oil. That's fucked up.
I mean,
Pookie.
I mean, it's a fish. I mean, no, they grind up a few different kinds of fish, like pike, pollock, whatever. It's
Yeah.
really good. It's really good. It's really good. Yeah.
I love this stuff. I make sandwiches out of that shit, man.
I think the best is potato kugel. Honestly, I still like I'll kill people for a good potato kugel, man. You know?
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see. Pour my
Matzo
brand
ball soup.
matzo ball. Oh, well, I mean, come on. I mean, you know.
Yeah, but like baseball size matzo balls, you got to get the big
Damn.
ones.
Well, who's making the small matzo balls? I mean, like, you know, that's like
My
that's
sister
like,
does.
oh my god.
Did anybody
They're
Did
like
anybody make the
slightly larger than a golf ball.
Anybody just do the matzo bread bowl and then just pour the soup in there?
You could, yeah.
Just saying. Don't tell Panera.
You could do worse
It wouldn't
things.
last long.
Yeah.
You'd have to eat that fucking soup really quick.
I don't know. If your matzo ball is not like the size of my fist, then I don't know what it's not a matzo ball. It's like how Pluto is not a planet, you know? It's too small.
It's 3 requirements for it.
Yeah, like, you know, like, come on. Like,
1.5 requirements met. You
like
are
what is it? What is the matzo ball? What is the matzo meal? Like a masterpiece? You can't spare some fucking matzo meal? Like, just fucking make the ball a little bigger.
Why are you holding up all the stuff? Let us have it. You made it for us to eat. Can we have it, please?
We used to have a country, and now the matzo balls are like the size of marbles. You know, like
make matzo great again.
Yeah, right. Like, you know, call the National Guard for that. You know, that's what I say. You know,
you put more of that powder into that bowl right now.
The one other thing
yeah,
that is amazing that you can do with matzah is, I don't know if you ever had it, Daniel. I'm sure you probably did. Matzah brie.
Matzo brie is really good.
You make it with the eggs and you cook it up like it's an egg dish, and then you can put all kinds of different toppings on it, and it's fucking awesome.
There's a part of this
brie.
Well, I mean, if there was some brie in my matzo brie, I mean, don't threaten me with
be
it.
Good too.
Yeah. little cheese pull on the matzo ball soup.
Camembert.
I think, like, ironically, on Passover, you can't get the matzah wet for some reason, so we only had matzo brie
You have to do after. Yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, exactly. Matzo brie is great. Matzo pizza is really good too, incidentally.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Little tomato sauce and cheese, you know.
We used to call it pizza, but
pizza.
Yeah, matzah pizza, pizza. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was simple. It was little bits of pepperoni and cracked, well, in my house anyways, cracked bacon.
Pepperoni, whoa.
Sacrilegious. Yeah, I know. But we'd put it all on.
Hope that was turkey pepperoni, Neil.
Yeah. And that be no swine in that sausage.
You know,
in that sausage.
Like, we didn't even keep like regular kosher. Like, we didn't mix milk and meat either. And like, there was something called glot kosher where the meat had to be checked the second time. Like,
yeah,
you couldn't just eat kosher. You had to eat glot. It had to be glot kosher. What that means is it cost a little more because there was a rabbi on the premises double checking everything. You know.
Yeah, looking for the kashrut stamp or whatever, right?
Yeah, pretty much. The OU, the Orthodox Union. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Star K is not good enough, right? You know, those fake Jews do that, man. You know. So I don't think Mikey knows what we're talking about. So like,
I know some.
Oh, okay. You
Very
know
few. I've been hanging out with Neil for a few years, so I catch.
Okay, yeah, you
about
pick
30%.
You're basically an honorary Jew at this point. I mean, you know, come on.
I can translate for people who are non-speaking. You know, I can be like, hey, what they're talking about is this thing they do. I don't know too much about it, but it's the thing they do.
They swing the chicken over their heads and they kill it in the street. It's totally normal. You know?
Yeah. My neighbor was doing that yesterday. No,
the kaparas.
And then like someone would be like, well, what? I'm like, shh, just watch. And then maybe we'll figure out what they're doing by context clues. Just watch.
yeah.
I mean, do you want to know what they're doing though? I don't know, man. It's pretty boring and terrible, you know? Like, that's the thing about Judaism. Like, I remember that they were telling us that, like, if you ever meet someone that wants to convert, like, you just tell them, you don't want none of this, like, at all. And you keep saying that until they go away, and you tell them how hard it is and how awful it is. And I'm thinking, like, why are we doing this? Like, you know?
Let me just set a little record straight here. If you're an atheist, how can you also be a Jew? There are, well, first and foremost, before I even go to the rest of the question,
Here we
such
go.
a thing is what they call secular Jews, right? They don't really believe, but they keep the traditions for, I don't know. And I'm sort of a little bit like that because I still like to go to the traditional get-togethers with the family and stuff like that and have the meals and just the connection with the family. I'm still an atheist. I pretty much have been my entire life, but I still call myself secular Jewish to some degree. So,
Right.
and there's lots of secular Jews. Most of the Jewish people I know from my community don't really believe so much anymore. So
It's complicated.
Well,
Yes.
also, you know, we're an ethnic group of people. I mean, have you seen my nose? I mean, you know, if you look at my DNA, you're going to get 87% Ashkenazi Jew and like 13% Irish because that's my genes. Our people are pretty closely related to the Palestinians and other Arabic groups, you know.
Hence the Semitic part, because
Hence
they're all
the
Semitic.
Exactly. And we just so happen to have a folk religion associated with our ethnic group that is called Judaism, unfortunately. So people often don't understand. They're like, oh, is this like being Irish where you're just Catholic? It's like, no, it's just, religion has the same name.
I don't know what it is about religious belief that just makes people dumb. But yes, there are secular Muslims. Yes, there are secular Christians, and there are secular Buddhists. So whether it makes sense to you or not is irrelevant because they all exist.
Right.
Unlike your favorite deity.
much like science, life has no obligation to make sense to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and what we're talking about human behavior here, which is idiosyncratic at the best of times. So, you know, religion is literally just a collection of things you do and engage with as part of a belief system. You know,
just scroll through history, and then you'll see how all of the religions change their doctrines to make sure that they fit within the society, so that they didn't stick out too far, but they weren't in the background, so they were forgotten about. They all changed just so that they could exist in whatever society, whatever the norms of that society was. So wherever the society shifts, the religions will just, I never believed that stuff earlier. That stuff was never us anyway. This is the good stuff. And then they can keep themselves going by continually moving the goalposts. It's like, we never said that.
It's also like, how do I put this? Like, totally lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
Derailed. Well,
yeah,
Big
totally
Nick, you don't need the beliefs to enjoy the traditions.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. So, like, there are people, like, I mentioned the Irish a second ago. They'll tell you I'm Catholic. They don't go to church. They might have a Jesus in their house. They might not even believe, like, you ask them, like, oh, do you believe in a harrowing of hell? They'll say, what's that? You know?
Right.
But then you ask them, like, are you Catholic? They're like, yeah, I mean, I'm Irish.
Sure.
What am I going to do? That's a secular Catholic. I'm sorry. Like,
pretty much, yeah.
Like,
they might go to church on the big holidays, if mom or dad tells them they have to or something.
Yeah.
Now, when I say I'm a secular Jew, I don't mean that I am culturally Jewish like that. I mean more so that I am ethnically Jewish and I'm secular. It's a very puny distinction, but it's meaningful to me at least because, like, I really
Which matters. That's what matters.
It matters, and it doesn't come up in conversation often because I have to live in this world and not fight with every person I run into. So,
Right.
Like I went through a period where I was really into Norse mythology. I still wear my hammer, and the thing is ethnic traditions.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Very well said. But
Stephanie's amazing.
Yeah, well, she's been in the chat sometimes. Yeah, she's pretty cool. But like, I'm just saying, like after I deconstructed from Judaism, well, what am I going to just decide to start believing Odin's real because he's the god of poetry? That's ridiculous. I don't think Like, the same reasons why I discount Yahweh, I discount all gods. So it's one of those things where like I like those things. Like I like to wear Mjolnir because it's a phenomenal symbol of like responsibility and I don't know, strength, right?
It's a power play.
It's a power play. Positive masculinity too. Like
Yeah,
there's just a lot to it that I see in it. So like I sometimes go like, well, I'm culturally Norse pagan, but I don't fucking vibe with any of that weird stuff, Like, no crystals or any of that.
Some of the symbolism.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like a lot of like that one wacky Zionist guy I mentioned, he's largely like that too. Like he wears the Star of David. I personally will not because I see it as analogous to a swastika right now. There were Israeli soldiers literally carving Stars of David into Palestinian fields with their tanks. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. That's
And
just a personal thing. It's pretty upsetting though.
It's pretty barbaric. Yes, Big Nick, if you convert to Judaism, am I a Jew or no?
Of course you
then
are.
you technically would be one. Yes, of course.
But if you stop following the religion, you wouldn't like continue being Jewish. I mean, it's like
you'd just be not Jewish to that degree. Anyways, it's like how hard is this to comprehend? I know
the difficulty is because the words are the same. Like I'm a Jew if my mother and my father were a Jew, or and I'm a Jew if I believe in Hashem and all that Narishkeit, Yeah. Couldn't keep being a Jew if I quit.
Because English is a stupid language.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, should we go back to being Hebrews and our religion being Judaism? I mean, probably, right?
Something.
Big Nick, get this through your head. You can still call yourself a Jew. You say I enjoy the Jewish traditions, but I don't believe in the Torah. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in all that shit. You could say I'm just a secular Jew. That's because of my traditions.
I mean, if you want to define me into not being a Jew, that's fine by me. I don't really care. I mean, sure, I don't follow the religion.
Float your boat.
But it's an ethnic folk religion that is associated with the ethnic group known as the Jews. Like, I don't know. It's the best way.
Beerism.
Beerism. I don't trust anyone that doesn't drink. But
Oh, hey, whoa. I can't drink. I want to. I did have. I had one at BajaCon. I'll admit it now. Actually, 2, but it was over a couple of days.
There's an episode of Beavis and Butthead where they're older, and like Beavis, it's Butthead. He needs a new liver, so I forget what the kid's name. Stewart shows up and gives him his liver or part of his liver, and like he just immediately starts drinking again. He's like, "That's my liver,"
Look, it's my liver now, and I've decided that it needs to be seasoned.
Yeah, maybe don't give your liver to someone named Butthead.
Yep. No, you could still say that. You could say whatever you want. You can be whatever you want. Nick, sure. Like seriously. Don't let us determine who you are. You be you. I always say this, and I got this from when I was temporarily a Wiccan, or at least thought I was. And you harm none. Right. Do as you will.
Right.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that. I don't know what your experience is, but most of the neo-pagans I meet are pretty cool,
Yep.
Like,
I'm friends with many.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's some nasty sides to that, like the supplements and all that kind of stuff, the anti-science. But generally, I run it. When I run into them,
that part of New Age is dangerous. Yes.
Yes, but like generally speaking, they're people that can't let go of some superstitions, and they channel that need for like religion, not the way Anton LaVey might have done it, but by transmuting it into something where the earth is my god, or whatever.
Yeah, or the universe, or whatever. Sure.
The universe. Yeah. Everyone needs a hobby. Exactly. I was thinking, are you doing? Are you doing a Jar Jar? Is that what that is? We saw all sinking and no power. Is that Jar Jar Binks?
We saw warriors.
Yeah.
Jar Jar, the thing that saved the Star Wars theory, the Star Wars series, in my opinion. Humble and left behind.
But he's a Sith, man. Come on.
Senator Jar Jar Binks.
Oh my gosh.
All right, folks. We have come over the hour now, Daniel. So time
Final
goes by so
question.
quick. Yeah. Go ahead, Mikey.
Last question, and then we're gonna get out of here and do the after party. If you could go back and talk to religious you and whisper in their ear, what would you tell them?
What was that? I'm sorry.
If you could go back in time and talk to previous religious you, what would you tell him?
I would tell him that it's going to be okay. There's no God, and you're going to be just fine anyway. You know?
Don't sweat it.
Just relax. It's all good.
You're fine.
And you're not going to be alone either. You know, that's the biggest thing I say to my RFR clients. Like oftentimes, like when we're wrapping up, I'm like, just remember, you're really brave for doing this and talking to me, and you're not alone. A lot of people going through what you're going through right now. You know.
Yep.
Hmm.
There are other bubbles.
Yeah, gets it.
Yeah, there's plenty of other things to worry about. God existing is not one of them. I mean, come the fuck on. You know?
Honey badgers.
I got some poison ivy in my backyard. I mean, that's pretty upsetting, you know.
You know,
mind you,
poison ivy kills people every year. They throw it in a fucking campfire, not knowing what it is, and it fucking irritates their fucking lungs. You can die on a campfire. God hasn't smited a single person.
True.
All right. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for joining Mikey and me for this episode today.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, well, it's going to get even crazier. So we take a bit of a break between the two shows.
Right.
So, bio break, grab a snack or refill your drink or whatever you got. And then I'll send you a new link. I usually just step out and have a smoke and then come back in and we get going. Guys, remember, all of the links are below in the description box. You can find Daniel's writings and poetry and stuff down there as well. Also, a link to the RFR in case you are also interested in helping out or becoming a volunteer for RFR. It's a great organization. I've been on there. I've been on the soapbox for those guys since fucking day one around here. So just the work they do is amazing. So definitely check them out as well. And thanks to all our wonderful members. You guys make the show what it is. And just hanging out in the chat with us. Yes, even you, Nick, because we get to interact with folks and maybe educate them a little bit. Hopefully you learned a little bit of something. Thank you all for hanging out with us. The link for the after party is in the description box below. And yes, Ollie, I did fix it. Apparently I had an old link to like Jen's after party at one point. I don't know what the hell I did. Sometimes I'm a little high when I do these things. So, can't drink. I'm going to smoke weed instead.
You guys get what you get. All right.
Yeah. But it is there, so you can hang out with us in the after party. If you'd like to be a part of the after party, just let one of us know and we'll get you a link and you can jump in with us. Until then, guys, like I always say at the end of the interview part of the show, like the late great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge.
Nick, come to the after party. You seem like fun. I want to hang out with you, Nick.
We'll be back in 15 minutes, Nick. You come right back, okay?
Do come back.
We're not done playing with you.
Christ, this kid. Hail Satan.
Repent and be saved. Repent for what? I didn't do anything.
I didn't do shit. Yeah.
All right, guys. See you guys
over there.
See you guys later.
Bye.
All right. Neat.